one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any changes or additions to the agenda?
No.
Negative, okay. So I would accept the motion to approve the consent agenda as one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any changes or additions to the agenda?
No.
Negative, okay. So I would accept the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, seeing and hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Okay, consent agenda is passed. Kim Knight, talk to us about money.
Good evening. It's nice to see all of you. So February is the first month where we have not seen an enrollment drop since the start of school. Our average enrollment is currently down 42 FTE from September and down 90 to budget. But we did actually pick up a couple this month, so that's a hopeful sign. The significance of the average enrollment is that that is the funding mechanism used for LAP funding for next year. So hopefully we will continue to see a little more bounce back so that we can bring that average enrollment back up.
Kim, are they going to be working on legislation on the hold harmless on that, do you think? Or do you think that's still?
The bill was stalled a little bit, and last I heard it was going in front of committee, and I'm not really sure. They were talking about not addressing this in a bill, but in the actual budget itself. So I'm not sure where we're going to land on it, to tell you the truth.
Thank you.
The new STARS report came out today, which is the funding reporting mechanism for transportation. So it did show our adjusted transportation funding for the remainder of this year. It shows a reduction of just under $600,000 from our initial allocation, which is, believe it or not, actually better than we were expecting. Originally, we thought we might be down $800,000, so baby steps. We are currently on track for about $1 million in spending, which, if that transportation hold harmless is enacted, would mean that we would not have any recovering of those hold harmless funds. I also wanted to share that the engine blocks for our old buses have finally been destroyed. COVID really put a wrench in the plans, no pun intended there, as far as getting that done. They were backed up. And so now we're just waiting. Clay has to submit the final paperwork, and we can finally claim the grant funds from the Washington Department of Ecology. Speaking of grants, we were notified today that we were awarded a grant to replace the small freezers at Eatonville Elementary with a large walk-in freezer. It increases our capacity by more than 5 times. So that's a $27,000 grant. We actually applied for funding for freezers at both Weyerhaeuser and Eatonville L, and they funded the one. So at this time, I would recommend that we match that grant with using district funds so that both of those large elementaries can be the same programmatically in terms of what they can order and cook on site. Year to date, our food service revenues are down over $30,000 to last year, but the program is trending under budget thanks to Terry's careful ordering and inventory management. And I do want to thank Terry, Betsy, and Lacey for preparing the lunches for the vaccine clinic that was hosted at the high school. They were delicious, and those ladies just always have a smile on their face no matter what we ask of them. And on that same note, I cannot express how excited our secondary cooks were at the middle school and high school to have the kids back in the building. They have been waiting all year to get to see the kids, just like the elementary cooks, and they decorated the kitchens and they were just ready to go. So we have begun the process of working on prioritizing the expenditure of our ESSER II funds. There is definitely the time and opportunity now to look at equity in budgeting. And we intend to be very thoughtful in our allocation of the funds to make sure that we are putting supports in areas where they can have the most impact. I know that one of the questions that has arisen with the legislature is how come everybody hasn't claimed all of their funds yet? Well, they've only been released for a couple of weeks, and I think it's really important to make sure that we are putting them where we need it and we're not making a knee-jerk reaction to claim them and then leave ourselves a little stranded for next year.
So Kim, can you give me some parameters around what those can be spent on? Is it just or?
So they can be spent on continuity of services.
Okay.
They can be spent on learning loss, upgrades to HVAC systems, social and emotional needs of our students. They can be used to support and backfill transportation funding if we so desire. Thankfully, unfortunately, however you want to put it, the furloughs that we did make with the bus drivers, I believe that we don't need to use ESSER funding to backfill our transportation at this time. And then they cannot be used for salaries. They cannot be used for any piece of collective bargaining. And they cannot be used for, say, merit pay. And that there was very specific parameters placed around that. They did actually finally come out with the language that the supplement not supplant proviso that's in Title I does not apply to the ESSER fundings. It's great in terms of our audit liability. Unfortunately, it does give the legislature more leeway than not to use state funds to backfill our needs, that they can just pass those federal funds due and believe that they've accomplished what we needed.
So Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
You know, we just recently leased those devices, right? From, I can't remember which, those one-to-one devices.
Yes.
Can we use, I'm not asking, or I'm not saying that we can use that, but I'm just asking, can we use that to pay those leases outright using the ESSER fund?
Honestly, we haven't needed to. Now, the student devices we pay for outright rather than lease.
Yeah.
And the teacher devices we lease through the capital levy.
Got it.
So that way we were able to preserve the ESSER funds for some other areas.
Thank you.
And then on the HR side, I am really excited to have on the consent agenda the hiring of our district's first ever school-based mental health counselor. And that position and that hiring really is the result of some amazing collaboration between Jana and Amy and Diane and Krista around identifying some wraparound services and supports that we needed to make sure that more of our students were ready for high school success. And part of the collaboration really was some out-of-the-box thinking on braided funding. And that applied to multiple positions in order to free up the funds necessary for this position. And of course, because it is both a social, emotional, and mental health piece, it does fall within the purview of the ESSER funding. So we will probably braid that in as well. And that's all I have.
Can you talk a little bit about Brenda's background?
So she was actually both a mental health counselor and a teacher at Fairfax Hospital, where we send our severely behaviorally disturbed students. She came to us last year as a special education teacher, and we're just thrilled to have someone with those qualifications in district that was willing to step up into a new role.
Where did she come from?
Northwest Soil, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, she was the lead teacher. We have her. She's our mental health therapist.
Right on.
ATA.
Yeah.
And the thought there then is that she will lead that support team for the emotional needs, pairing with paras in each of the buildings and with the counselors so that there's really a network of support.
And she's being located here in the district office?
No.
She'll probably be at the high school.
Yeah.
That's where John Christensen and Emily Linkhorn are.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Okay, anything else for Kim?
Job,
Okay,
Kim.
thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business and second reading of policy 4050P, data sharing with local tribes.
Data sharing with local tribes.
But after second read, what do you think?
They would receive all the information.
Yeah, personally, I don't like it.
I don't either.
I don't care who you are, I just don't want to give anybody their kids' information without parental sign
Without
off.
parental consent.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
that's
problem
key.
I have.
Yeah.
Parental consent.
So,
If parents say fine, fine.
Right, if we can add a parental consent piece, is that at our, can we do that? We have the.
I have, so. Let's see, it's optional for now. The tribes will have access to all records. The model data sharing agreement allows the district to provide all data requested by the tribe representative without parental consent pursuant to FERPA's audit evaluation exception. So no parental consent is needed by either party. Suggestions are that tracking the language in the agreement closely and doing so enables the district to meet all other FERPA requirements. I asked if it was required, and it is optional for now.
But can we make it required as a board?
My question is, can we add parental consent?
No.
Well,
I asked if the policy was
Right,
required.
and it's,
Yeah.
it's not.
It is not.
So, but if we were to implement a policy, I think working with the tribes is a good thing.
Mhm.
If the parents consent to it. So is that something we could, as a board, because it's optional right now, right? Perhaps could we add a
Correct. So
parental
you can
consent?
either table it, and then we can get a legal advisement to change.
Yeah,
And do
right.
some
Yeah,
work
that's
around that, requiring that there would be parental consent. So
Yeah.
if that's what you,
Releasing information to
Or
to
at least,
anybody
Anybody.
without
Yeah.
parental consent is
or
just
at
not.
least under 13 years old, 13 or under, because in the SIPA and COPA, it is 13 or under.
correct.
But yeah, so,
But, and then older, it's with their consent, the student consent. It's not just give the
No,
information.
it's not just open.
yeah, I don't think so. In the SIPA, which is the Children's Internet Privacy Act,
Mhm.
and then Children's Online Privacy Act, it's 13 and under. But we don't have,
So
students or parents doesn't have to give consent under the age of above 13.
So
Yeah,
we
so-
can do whatever you would like to do,
yeah, I mean, this is
Okay.
just a model policy from WASDA,
right?
which we have no obligation to use. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I don't think it's a bad idea. We can write whatever policy we choose. So,
Right, I agree. I think we should work with the tribes as much as possible, as long as parents are informed with what we're doing. So I think that is.
yeah, no, we've had great
Okay.
partnerships on many
Okay.
things, and we just need to keep parents in the loop.
So then next step, I will tell Heidi Maynard, our legal advisor, that you wish to work through some of the language, and then we'll have a third reading.
Well, it'll be a new policy, so it will be like a first reading.
Yeah,
It'll be different, yeah.
Okay. Is there a consensus? Is that, okay.
very good. Okay, any other discussion on that?
Okay.
Okay, then I will move on to our statement about our equity training. So the Eatonville School District Board of Directors are very excited to move forward with and go deeper into our work in race and equity. We need to share space, lean into uncomfortable spaces, and dig deeply into this professional development with our facilitators. At the request of our facilitators, copyright laws, and thinking of ways to build capacity, we are not going to stream our professional development sessions. This is the bones of our legacy work for the Eatonville School District, and these are not business meetings, and no action will be taken. So we thank everybody for their support and our learning in this endeavor. Anybody have any discussion about that? Okay, we'll move on to new business. And consider approval of the donation agreement for the McTee Scholarship Fund through Charles and Jackie McTee. Actually,
Yeah, we can.
say we want to take A and B together. Yeah. And including Cindy McTee's donation too. So,
Second, I second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing, hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying no. Okay, thank you to the McTee family again for a long, long relationship. Okay, and we will consider approval of technology plan for 2021 through 24. All right, seeing, hearing
So-
nothing.
Well,
Let's talk about it.
I have Tyler. If there's any questions that you have, it's pretty straightforward.
It's not straightforward. Did you write that, Tyler?
I know it's hard sometimes even for me to wrap my head around it. Do you guys, sorry, I've never had to do this before. So would you guys like me to like read through it or?
No,
No.
well, for me, no. I just
Okay.
have one question. What are the changes in the network infrastructure based on the last technology plan to this coming up?
We are in the process of E-rate bidding, or I believe the bidding process is done. And we are just waiting for reviews. Sorry, Drew's the expert on E-rate, but we are needing to upgrade our firewall because we got a larger connection to just provide better service for students on the network. So that's really the only hardware that we're wanting to change soon. In the talks, we are thinking of upgrading our phones from analog to VoIP, which would allow teachers to access phones anywhere, not just from in the buildings.
So are those classroom phones, are those tied to their Google phone numbers?
They are not, no.
Okay.
That is a separate landline.
So, quick question though, the VoIP, I think that's what you called it, is that, if the power goes down, does that go out as well? I know one of the reasons we still have a landline is just safety and security, lack of internet, or I mean, lack of cell phone connection and power issues.
So we would, so all of those phones would go out just because our network would also be unavailable if the power went out. But we would always have a redundant, we called them bat phones back in the day, which would still be tied to that analog. So in case power does go out or the network does go down, there's still those redundant bat phones that are able to reach out and call.
So Tyler, can I, because I'm not seeing anything about UPS, because I understand that it's gonna go down eventually, the voice over IP phone. But if
Yes.
you have UPS, you could leave it up and running for about an hour or so that parents can continue calling if there's any emergencies. I don't see UPSs in this plan.
So we already have UPSs. I'm not sure how new or old they are. And they would provide that, hour or so of backup battery.
All right. I think I would recommend that you guys probably audit the UPS, since that's a category too, so
Mhm.
you can pay for that one as well.
Yes, yeah, we're planning on this summer. That's going to be my charge, is tackling inventory of everything. So we're gonna try and get on a good cycle.
Good work on that one.
And I would
Good work. I don't know.
just want to make sure that the bat phones are critical.
Yes.
In my world, none of the vendors will tell you this, but VoIP phones are not 100% with 911.
Mhm.
Several times a year at work that we get calls that have been stuck in interspace for
Yeah.
sometimes 20 minutes before they get to a dispatch center. So Just so we've got those old fashioned phones just in case.
Yep. Yes, sir.
By law, they have to be, they have to have that red phone, we call it red phone, which is an analog so that we can call them 911. So that's good, Jeff.
Sorry, just my bad.
No, I think it's great.
And in addition, there are some technology needs. This is in addition to what you have in front of you, so you're welcome to read it if you'd like.
Cool. So Drew, we get all these things done by 2024. How far forward is this technology upgrade going to take us?
It's 2026, I believe.
So with the plan that we got a hold of last week, which is the one that we're looking at right now, that was kind of written in an intervening time between Byron being here and not being here. So there's some things that have been added that I've been keeping track of specifically. So I've got plans on top of this for getting us ready within the next 5 years to set us up going forward beyond. So right now, as far as hardware is concerned, our switching is good for the next 6 to 7 years. And then as far as, let's see, the firewall is being done. So that's going to set us up for the next 6 years as well. The Wi-Fi is in place. There's going to be advancements within the next 3, and we're set for the next 5. So by the time the next E-rate cycle rolls around, we'll be able to apply for the Gen 2 hardware that has 5G and all of the latest and greatest that Aruba's come out with. So as far as hardware is concerned, we're pretty well set. So the stuff that's in there is the intervening portion between. So the phones, the firewall, just kind of getting us up to speed.
And then that, the internet, is that, do you guys have, what is it, 1 gig, 5 gig?
Currently we have 2. It was recently upgraded, and part of the firewall upgrade is getting us access to the full. So right now we have 1 gig. It's kind of a limitation.
And E-rate is paying for that, right? Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We finished the bidding process for the firewall. So now it's a matter of selection and getting a provider within the next month and signing the contract. And then we also we just squeaked in a new 470 for upgrading our Wi-Fi controller. It's a Aruba Mobility Conductor. It's basically the controller above our current controller. It would control it to allow us to do better quality of service, more granularity in terms of giving us access to more options and better service just in the district in general. So that's a little bit of a rush, but it's well, looking to get it done. So
Awesome. Thank you, Drew.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Anybody have any more questions?
Do you guys want to see the plan?
Well, I read the plan.
No, I didn't.
My
That's in
headache
addition.
just went away.
I read the one online, but this is extra in addition,
Oh,
right? This is the in addition.
okay. So if we have extra reading, do we want to approve this next meeting, or are we willing to?
It probably needs to get done.
This is required for them.
Right.
Drew, is your plan then to put an addendum then when you're completed?
Yeah, I can actually clean up the one that I did. It was more of a kind of a bullet point list of stuff that needs to be done over the next 8 months, and then 2 to 3 years, and then 5 years and out. So I can clean it up and make it a little more presentable and add it to this later if that's what you guys would like.
Drew, I think I have
really
a
like
copy
those.
of it actually, and
Yeah.
they're looking at the copy of it. So
This is
yeah,
really good. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they did an
This
excellent
fits into my brain appropriately. Thank you.
okay,
I understand what you're saying here.
okay. So maybe what you could do is approve with the understanding that that's going to be cleaned up and attached.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really, and you covered much of that with your conversation, so thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you everybody involved in this. That report obviously was a lot of work just to generate that. So appreciate that. Okay, anybody have any more questions, thoughts, concerns? All right. So can I get a motion then to approve the technology plan for 21 to 24 with the addendum there to be added?
So move. Second.
Okay, moving
One or
second.
the
Any
other.
further discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, please signify by saying no. Okay, technology plan is approved. So you guys get to
Good
work.
job, guys.
Okay, so we will consider approval of the itinerant teacher services agreement between the school district and the Washington State School for the Blind. And this is something we do every year.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Do we have students attending?
You know,
This is actually a new one, new services,
I mean, yeah.
related directly to a new student that has joined us.
All right.
So we worked with them prior.
Do we still have, I know that one family moved out that had the deaf children. Do we still have kids going to QL for those services?
Just one at this time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I would accept a motion then to approve the contract for itinerant teacher services.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. All right, all opposed, please signify by saying no. All right. That is approved. Let's move on to superintendent comments.
all right. Well, I want to thank both Drew and Tyler and Travis. We went in 1 year from the amount of devices that we had to the amount of devices that we have now, and all of the other work, and Byron leaving, and then kind of renegotiating who's doing what. So I want to thank you both, and Kim, for taking over so much of the technology conversation and keeping us basically in the best spot that we ever have been. So thank you guys for your hard work. I know that the challenges are many. In fact, Drew, I'm thinking of the day where the day before we brought back students in the elementary, we decided to put Eatonville Elementary and all of the TVs, and they were casting into each other's classroom. And so you guys have been heroic and amazing, and I want to thank you for that. We would not have been able to do such a quality job for kids if you were not such great individuals. So I want to start with that. So we got trained today in curative testing. That will be an option for our symptomatic students. We're going to start really slowly, but it will be an option starting as soon as we can get the software going. But parents can choose to do a PCR test at school, and then we will ship it off through the little UPS box, and then they'll get the information. But the nice thing about curative is we also see the results, which is different than the Everly Well. The Everly Well test that we have right now is for staff and any student over 16. Now, this is the first time we'll be able to offer that for families. It's a pretty easy. It's like brushing your teeth for 20 minutes. And then they put it in the little container, put the container into the bag, seal the bag, give it to our health clerks or whoever is in the office, and then we just mail it off.
20
So,
minutes.
20 minutes, it takes 20
20
minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, 20
Yeah.
seconds, 20
Okay,
seconds.
that's
20 minutes.
That doesn't
was
sound like an
like,
easy
oh,
test.
I know, I keep saying 20 minutes, I apologize, 20
Okay.
seconds.
We both caught that. I was like, their gums are going to be raw.
I said nothing. I
No.
was assuming. it
Wait,
was-
yeah, sorry.
Don't think that's.
Yeah. Please retract that, 20 seconds, just like they're brushing their teeth. So we were trained today.
20 seconds brushing your teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah, happy birthday twice.
So that is good. So we have curative tests and we have Everly Well tests. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you, those of you that were at the legislative. That was the strangest legislative meeting, just because Brian and I were together and we were watching it and I was taking notes. So if my notes didn't make any sense, I apologize for those of you that didn't attend.
But we can go back and watch it. So
Yeah.
Yes, they can. And it was cool to see the students. I liked the formatting. It was interesting. I don't know that it was not as fun.
No, clearly not, but.
Clearly not, but
It was a lot better than I was afraid it might be.
yes, that's a nice way to say that. Pierce County Superintendent will be meeting tomorrow. We meet on a regular basis. We actually meet twice a week. Yeah, that's a lot. But we are planning vaccination clinics for our staff. So we met earlier this week with Dr. Chen. We are on a vaccine task force, both myself and Tom Siegel and Susie, I believe Hansen. She's a private school, head of school. The three of us are just kind of brainstorming. And one of the reasons I wanted to be part of it is that we're running our clinic, so I have a good feel for if you have 10 stations, this is how many people you can get through in an hour. So Tom and I will be leading that conversation tomorrow. But I think we have some really good feedback. And the superintendent, so we want to kind of drive the plan and then for them to give us our vaccines. So we were told though, within the month of March, that the phase will turn into the next phase, which will include teachers. So speaking of vaccines, we have our second dose vaccination clinic on Saturday, so looking forward to that. Kirk has volunteered to come in and do our staff on Friday afternoon. So any of the staff that got it, so that way it will just break it up a little bit and give them the whole weekend in the event that they need it. I'm going to choose to get mine on Saturday, probably at noon. So, but I will make it in on Monday. Absolutely.
There's a good reason for that. You want to be able to work the
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's
It is.
really, really fun though. So if any of you are around and you want to pop in and see, it's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So we have 1,000 people that will be coming.
Very
And
grateful people, which is the best.
Very grateful. So all of the schools and the students have made Valentines. So we have over 1,000 Valentines, little notes to people and all of that. We have Pico de Gallo, Mexican restaurant, is donating 100 lunches for the volunteers. And we have risk management, the head of risk management will be coming on Saturday, as well as our IPAC people will be coming on Saturday. And lo and behold, I've connected the two of them. And so risk management is working out a deal with the IPAC to have a bundle available for all of the risk management people for reopening schools. So it's amazing when you bring people together, you bring the right people together, how things happen. So I'm really excited for the rest of the school districts to be able to have things like the COVID supervisor training and the cleaning, disinfecting training that they provide, and then the multiple pieces that they have. So we're going to bring them together so that they meet each other. Next week, I have a roundtable meeting with Chris Regdahl. We met earlier this week. He really is reiterating everything that was told last Sunday, other than the fact that they passed this week that we will be required to give standardized tests in some manner. And so Chris is sending in a waiver so that we can give our locally determined assessments, which we already give. We give our maps, we give our dibbles, and we can look at progress over time. And so if that is the case, it's really a low-level issue. If we have to give, if they don't accept the waiver, we have a little bit of time, but, I'm really not worried about the standardized test at all. I think it would be a good, it has been a year, almost a year, since children have been in school, and so any kind of assessment that we can give will just be a point in time. So I'm really not concerned about it. I know many of my colleagues were up in arms, and that is real low level for me. If we have to do it, we have to do it.
The benchmark.
It's a benchmark.
What better way to argue for the resources we need to get back up to speed? Look how far we've fallen in a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right.
critical to our
Yeah,
argument.
well, it'll be 2 years,
Yeah.
right? Because we didn't even have data last year. I want to say thank you to all of our athletic coaches who are really doing the best that they can with the high school kids, and the middle school is looking at intramurals. It's really pretty amazing. And that football game online,
Oh my
Lisa?
goodness, that's amazing. Hunter passed a touchdown pass. So the only score that they had to lose. Yeah, so Yes, it's amazing. I have to say that Coach Crowley and his coaches are really making sure that they follow the guidelines. Yeah, I really am appreciative.
Yeah.
With that.
Your next equity training is on March 10th, so make sure that you have that on your calendar. If you need anything around that,
Is that 5:30 again?
yes, I believe so.
Does that work? If that doesn't work for you, let's change it.
No, I actually, I was the one that mentioned to Debbie, I think if we do it a little earlier, then we can get done a little earlier.
Okay.
But that's just one. So,
I'm working that
Because
day.
I'll be in clinic that day as well.
oh, should we then,
Well,
should we move it?
I got a remote in, but I can't do that until 7.
Yeah, I can promote in until I can.
well, so we'll revisit that date.
Yeah.
Okay. On 3/10,
Yeah, I'm free for the
because
rest of
you
them.
two can't. Jeff,
It's better working for all.
I,
doing
it
it.
is.
Oh, for sure,
I really like
absolutely.
it when,
it does, it's
it's a
important.
good word.
Okay. And with that, all I want to say to the staff, any staff that is listening, is thank you so much for the hard work. The schools really feel like schools. Kids just happen to have masks on. And so they're working really hard, and I'm very, very proud of the work that they're doing. They're really addressing learning and teaching and getting to know children. So we're really blessed. And I'm done.
Very good. Anybody have any board comments they'd like to make?
I just have a question for Rhonda. The legislative conference, did you guys talk more about the House bill for ASB? You know, the one that we talked about,
No.
changes that,
I didn't hear anything about
okay.
that.
ESP bill, I'll write it down. I have an active list, because this was the week where it was cut off, where they had to switch, so, honestly, I didn't look at it this last 2 days, which I probably should have, so I can refer back. Sorry.
That hasn't been on my radar either.
I think it's gone.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
just think that it's,
That's my.
Are you talking about the ASB bill that Kim
Yeah.
talked about?
Yeah.
Oh, that's already a law, and that's
ah,
enacted. That's a done deal. That was last year. I'm correct? Kim, are you
I
there?
thought it was.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh.
It's, because I did testify against that last year.
Oh, you did?
So along those lines of the legislative conference, we will be having regional meetings. They will be pretty much after session, so we'll be having the opportunity to remotely join together with a couple other schools in the school district. In Pierce County, it's different than we used to do it. We used to gather by our WASDA district. We won't be doing that this year. We will be gathering in a very precarious way. I'm not exactly sure how to describe it to you, kind of based on our legislative partners. And then we will have a little powwow, and then we'll have our day in the Hill, which will be a remote check-in with legislative leaders. And those appointments are being set now, and we'll move that information forward to you. And that will be, I believe it's the 19th. I do have the dates in my calendar. So I believe our day on the Hill will be like the 17th and 18th and 19th. So they're going to be scheduling legislators based on their groups in those 3 days, but we don't have appointments yet. So that of March. Also, I'm on the WASDA conference planning committee. And it's funny that your comment that you made about ledge session, that they said one of the best comments we got is it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, that's setting the bar really high. Really high. We of course we talked about the things that are nice that we can go back and we can listen to them. The reality is how many people really are going to find the time in their schedule to go back and listen to things? Not very many. And I'd like to hear what you feel are the real values. I know what I think, but if you can share with me what you think is the true value of WASDA conference, then I can share that back without just giving my perspective, my lens. So what are some of the reasons that you think WASDA conference is valuable so that I can share that back?
Value?
in
It's,
person.
it's,
I was
Or
gonna
not.
say,
it's the
yeah,
networking.
for me,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
single biggest thing,
It's the
face to
networking.
face with so many
It-
people.
It's definitely the networking and then hearing what they're doing that is similar
Right,
to
hearing
us
what
or
other school
something,
districts are
yeah.
doing and what are their successes and their failures
Yeah.
and, you know, people, because when you're there and you're talking with people or listening to people, you're hearing from them. You're hearing what's really going on. I mean, I'm sorry, but remote doesn't do it.
Yeah, I did attend some of the breakout conversations and they weren't very well attended. That was part of it, like nobody was
I
there.
sat in two with one
It was
other person.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had a lovely conversation,
Yeah.
but we didn't really tackle a
Yeah, I
lot.
had a couple of those.
That's what's so hard about it, is you
Yeah.
stare at each other and there's only two.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And-
And,
Hi, how
oh,
are you?
And you can't turn off your.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah. Yeah. So, at this point, they're not sure if it will be a hybrid, if it will be in person. It will be in Bellevue if it is in person. And, looking at the reduced schedule, like they have in the past, but also they are ready to, pretty soon we'll be ready accepting, presenters. So if you feel like there's anything that we should present, please kind of keep that top of mind. Not sure if it will be virtual or in person. I'd much rather present in person than virtual.
You know, I would say, looking at, late November, there's a chance it could
That's what we
be
think.
in person.
Yeah, we're thinking, especially capacity, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe they'll limit the number of people who can attend, but we're looking forward to that. So if you have any input, let me know. I'm happy to
For
advocate
presentation?
for anything you want about conference. Food, I'll make it happen. We'll just say
Bacon.
more bacon.
Bacon.
More bacon.
Yeah.
Bacon.
Good.
I think for presentation, if it is in person, we talk about the framework, the diversity work that we're doing here as a rule. That's a huge, learning experience from us.
It is in this
And-
setting. I also believe that really the forward thinking and COVID and how we
Yeah.
have in this district
Mhm.
done a lot of pilot work
Yeah.
and the
Absolutely.
community has come around
So we
around it.
No, by
We
willing to
do.
go out, like, with Kristen and, obviously we support that, is getting out there and finding out what we can try and trying it and making it happen. And, it takes a lot of work and a lot of constant push. And
And
Yeah.
a lot of collaboration at all levels, including our staff. And
absolutely.
that was what I guess I wanted to end up with my comments, and I'm sorry I strung this out.
Nope.
That every student that I have talked to has been so happy and so excited to be back in school. So I want to thank staff for making it happen and being willing to just really put kids first, because they feel it, and it's just been a joy and a pleasure for me to be with the kids too, interact with them. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. Then we will not adjourn, we'll recess into executive session for give it an hour, and no action will be taken afterwards. So we're recess.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.